Smart Fortwo 451. Currently doing spark plugs today. There's your part number. It is an NGK laser plug. You can only use one type. The vehicle currently has 30,560 miles. This is all being done as part of the 30K service. The way you want to do it is you start off right here. You have your 3 coil packs. They're easily accessible. There's clips on them. Press down on the tab and gently wiggle the plug off. If it's not coming off gently, do not force it off. You will break the clip. You want to press on all 3 of them. Gently remove these clips. Once you have removed those clips, you will have 3 10mm bolts. You're going to have them there, there, and there. Use a standard little small 10mm socket. And just pull those 3 bolts out. Once you got those 3 bolts removed, you're going to gently pull these coil packs out. Sometimes you have to pull them out towards the back of the vehicle and then pull them out like that. You want to pull all 3 out. Make this easier on yourself. And personally, the way I pull them out, I keep them in that same order. Just in case there's some issues later on. As you pull these out, inspect them, see if there's any rust, any cracks, any damage. This vehicle has 30,000 miles. These should be in perfect working order, but just always good to visually inspect. And inspect down there if you can, or how much you can, to see if there's any oil accumulation or anything else leaking past these seals right here. And the seals appear to be in good repair, so we're not going to worry about that. Next thing you're going to do is get a spark plug tool and start pulling these out. Now what you're going to need to install them is a 5/8 inch spark plug tool, which basically just has a rubber gasket in there. And what that does is when you insert the spark plug inside the tool, I'll get it here for you, it will hold it in place for you. The spark plug will stay. So what you're going to do is you're going to finagle it in there, but being careful to not touch the diode, not to bang this tip or touch it with any oils or anything. I have clean gloves right now at the tip. Basically, you want to make sure that you wiggle it in there gently without hitting anything. So this might mean you have to pull it in backwards like this, and then gently put it in there, push it all the way down, and start threading it. Now here's the optional part. So a lot of people don't believe in anti-seize, and it's not necessarily in the repair manual as far as I could find. But I put a little bit of anti-seize onto the spark plug threads themselves on all 3 of them. And what this does is over time, sometimes the metal here and the aluminum block or steel block or whatever you're using, the head, whatever you're using, sometimes the metals will bind over time. So putting anti-seize on it with all the heat cycles, it'll help it to not seize the spark plug to the threads themselves. But anyways, in order to get this threaded, let's do that. But clearly, before we're going to be putting these in, we got to pull out the old one. So slot it in like so. As you can see, this little guy that I have here is too short, so you're going to want to use something longer. So in order to do this properly, this is the contraption that we're going to be using. And I'll get some light on there for you. I'm going to slide it in from behind. And as you can see, it drops down and it allows me to put my ratchet in here and work it. So remove the plugs, all 3 of them. So you can see the 3 plugs were removed. That's what they look like after 30,000 miles. These apparently were Densos in there. What the factory calls for is NGKR, these plugs. So it appears at some point someone has replaced them and put these in, or maybe for a time being in 2015 they started using Densos, but this is what should be in there. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these in very gently by putting one on the plug, fitting this portion into the cylinder a little bit. I need 2 hands, so I can't really show you this. Fitting this portion in. And then I'm going to be taking my short extension and then adding that. And then I will be taking my wobble extension and then adding that and then torquing it down. And the way it's going to torque is quite simple. So you actually don't need a torque wrench for this. The way it works is you get it down, and once it touches right there, that arrow means once the spark plug, I'm going to use an old one, once the spark plug bottoms out onto this washer right here, Once it bottoms out, you're going to go an additional 1/16 to 1/2 turn. What that means is once your wrench here, let's just say it's here, once it bottoms out, right? You're turning. Once it bottoms out, you're going to go an additional minimum of 1/16 up to 1/2 of a turn. Me, once it bottoms out, what I do is I go 1/4 turn, which is right around the middle. That should be just fine for torquing these. You do not need a torque wrench. That's all you need right there, 1/16 through 1/2. And as it says right there, do not adjust the gap whatsoever. Do not adjust the gap. Don't be dumb, don't do it, because these are pre-gapped. So this spark plug goes all the way in, so see it's loose. Now once you feel it bottom out to where you feel resistance to where it stops, and keep going. There, that's bottom. So once it gets to this point, you want to do 1/16 up to 1/2. So for me, I'm going to do 1/4, so it's going to go from here roughly to about here. So I'm going to start sideways just so it's easier for you to see. So that's where it's starting. So 1/16 to 1/2. That's about all I'm going to do. That's it. It's all it requires. You don't need a torque wrench. At this point, I can pull everything out and it's done. This plug, let me get my wobble extension off of there. But basically, that is all you need. You do not need a torque wrench. You don't need to sit here and keep doing this. That's all you need. Now that we got the one, we got the other two to go. And something I just noticed that when I was pulling this out, it tends to want to grab, there you can see it right there. It tends to want to pull out the rubber grommet with it. So make sure that when you're pulling the plug itself out, I mean once you're pulling all this out, that it's not leaving this rubber grommet down there on the plug. So make sure you pull this out. Maybe I'll like glue it in there or something. Now that we've gotten all three new plugs in there, so the old ones left, you're going to take your 3 coils. Personally, I like to wipe things down so I know it's all going back in clean. But you're going to take your 3 coils and wiggle them all back in. Once you got all 3, don't forget to put your 10mm bolts onto all 3 of the coil packs and just snug those hand tight, maybe 5 foot-pounds, no more. After you get those bolts back in, make sure that this rear clip passes underneath here before it connects to the coil pack. That's the way it is from the factory. If you pass it over, it'll have too much of a stretch over this, and over time it will damage the harness here. But the proper way is, this is the most difficult one, is you have to fish it from there, from that side. And then you got to put it on. This is the only difficult one. The rest are really easy. Anyways, let me get this on. Anyways, once you get that difficult one on, you put the other 3 on and they should click into place. You can even see the little tab on top moving into place. Once that's it, your spark plug change is done and you're good for another 30,000 miles. Hope you learned something today and have a nice day.